sign on. Welcome everyone to the secret to getting more referrals and repeat business than you ever thought possible. I'm Shannon McGee. I'm the sales director with IXACT Contact. And joining me today is Travis Saxton from T360. Travis is the SVP of Technology Consulting. And Travis is going to actually sort of kick us off with some cool facts that T360 and Travis himself have put together. So got lots of info to cover. And the goal today is to talk about the key things that will make you successful in real estate. And of course, the little secrets that you can take advantage to help you get more referrals and repeat business. That's our title of the webinar and what we're aiming at today. Travis is going to talk about agent personas, and we'll lead into a key shift that's occurring in real estate, specifically around CRM and the technology that can help make you more successful in your business. And we'll discuss why CRM is so important and which CRM and why you should take action on that. I will have a brief demo of the IXACT Contact CRM. It's going to be brief. It's not a full demo webinar today. So if you'd like a more in-depth overview, we're happy to provide a personalized tour for you after our webinar session today. So I'm going to kick it over to you, Travis, so you can talk about those agent personas and some of that data.
Awesome. Thank you, Shannon. So we're going to jump in. We're going to kind of frame up the challenge first. What is the industry facing with? And the problem our industry faces is that in any given year, there's approximately 5.3 million homes sold and 700,000 new construction. For math purposes, we can call this 6 million. That's really kind of this magic number. And there's two sides to every transaction. We call that 11 because in the new construction, it's not exact, but there's about 11 million opportunities. Now, the latest numbers that we've been able to pull in the last year or two have been that there's about 200 million real estate leads generated per year. This equates to 18 leads for every single transaction site. That's just a fact. That's the math in the industry. So there are 18 contact forms being filled out somewhere for every single transaction side. And there's a lot of double-ended deals. And so you got to factor that in. So there's actually even more dilution happening there. Now there's only 121.6 million homes occupied in the US. And so my joke here is, you may be better off getting a phone book and grabbing a name out of a phone book than you are getting an online lead. And that's just the harsh reality. Now, obviously, some lead sources are better than others, and there's real estate specific lead sources. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But we all know the traditional stats from NAR that 74% of stats are repeat buyers and 69% are repeat sellers. But I'm going to tell you a little bit of a unique angle here. So 39% of an agent's business comes from referral business, 24% comes from repeat business. This equals 63% or 2.9 million sales in 2019. And then I pause there because I say, we've all heard the stats from NAR. The problem with those stats is they don't take into account geographic or migration patterns of the population. And so they're oftentimes, people that are surveyed that are moving from within a market or within a zip code, and 34% of Americans actually move to a whole different county and 15% move to a whole different state. So unless you're a magic realtor, you're probably not capturing that business as well. And so there is a little bit of flaw in some of that data. Additionally, 7% of business comes from yard signs, 5% from home builders, and 2% direct from the seller. And so that's 14% more there. Basically, what I'm showing you here is the average lead conversion rate in real estate is 0.65%. We all hear these lofty numbers of 3, 4, 5, even crazy numbers of 10%. And while I do believe that that is possible, it takes a very special beast to be able to accomplish something like that. And it's just not in the DNA of most agents. And that's the point of these numbers that I'm going to share with you. We're going to go into the DNA of the agents and what makes them tick and what do they need. But before we do so, let's talk a little bit about the financial side. Now, lead generation also is not cheap. And so when you start to factor in the $37 average cost per lead from all sources, that includes Zillow, Realtor, search engine marketing, stuff like that. You look at the average raw lead to appointment ratio is about 30-1. Now you can get better at that. Good is 20-1 and great is 10-1. And the average appointment meeting to client ratio, where you actually land a deal and you're not just taking them around in a car, is somewhere between 50%, 60% is good, and great is 75%. So when you look at these numbers and you factor this in, the average customer acquisition cost, if you're just doing lead generation in real estate, is about $2,220. And so it's a very, very much a numbers game. And there are, I know, great teams and some brokerages that are very good at this and have been able to manipulate these numbers to lower that average customer acquisition cost. So worthwhile stats to set the stage for why am I telling you this? Well, the agent and the technology uses, we're going to go into agent personas. What are agent personas and how will this resonate with you? But also, how does this impact the agent's technology needs? And I'll pause here for a moment because we've all probably been here. We've gone to Inman or NAR or our local association of realtors or whatever the case may be. And the unique thing that you see there is you go up and you see this maybe major influencer or top team in the country, and he's like, I buy leads from wherever. You can enter lead source here, and this is how I do it. This is how I run my business. And so they're preaching basically to an audience that is like oil and water. And even so, I sat down with two brokerages once, one on each side of me at a bar once at a conference. And the brokerage on my left-hand side was a very much a lead generation focused converting brokerage. The brokerage on my right-hand side was a very traditional, most of my business comes from my sphere of influence, and they're sharing technology strategies with each other. And I was just sitting there going, wow, what's working for this one is not going to work for this one over here. So now let's talk a little bit about why. So we track and research agent personas in residential real estate. We've studied these for MLSs, associations, brokerages all across the country. And for the most part, these hold very true. There are some hybrid agents, and then teams sometimes take on a little bit of a different multiple personas depending on how the structure of the team works. But for all intents and purposes, there are 4 personas in real estate. In the upper right-hand corner, you have the networker. This is somebody that's really good at direct selling to a list of names, their sphere, most likely. And they're really good at generating warm leads. Well, because they know the people. This one's pretty obvious. In the bottom right-hand corner, you have the marketer. Now, this one not necessarily is marketing to their sphere, but they're marketing indirectly to an area of expertise that they have. And that might be horse properties, waterfront properties. It might be a specific neighborhood. It might be a type of clientele. It could be golfers. It could be, stuff like that. But because they've built a brand and reputation and authority in that space, they're able to grow their business by indirectly selling to the audience that they appeal to with their persona. And so they generate warm leads because the people that recognize that name, they've seen them on maybe emails or billboards or speaking or on TV is very common. And then they'll end up resonating with that agent and feel like like they know them, and they'll get to know them a little bit faster. And so the right-hand side of the industry, which I just mentioned, makes up about 86% of all of real estate. That's our most traditional personas. And the actual split between networkers and marketers is a little gray because there's a lot of blending and overlapping between these two personas. On the left-hand side, which makes up 14% of real estate, these people are all about generating cold leads. The prospector is the little bit older version of the new age lead gen, where the prospector is going to a list. They're using prospecting tools, they're canvassing neighborhoods, and they're using data and even predictive analytics to generate leads for their business. And they're cold leads, but they're directly selling to a finite list or resource. And typically it's through snail mail and not door knocking and stuff like that, some of those practices. In the bottom left-hand corner, you've got the converter. Now, both of these guys generate cold leads. One generates cold leads, but directly by picking neighborhoods and data and going right after them. The other one indirectly kind of sits back and lets the leads come into them. So the converter is the more traditional lead generation focused agent or team, and they're all about numbers. Numbers are very important to them. So that's 14% of residential real estate on the left-hand side of this quadrant. And sometimes there's teams that have a really good networker and a really good converter. That's pretty rare to mix opposite quadrants. Usually it's like we've got a good networker and a good marketer, or a good prospector and a good converter that are teaming up. That's more commonly what we see. And so some of their key practices in each of the quadrants: the networker clearly needs networking, relationship building. They're very involved in the community, and they need ways to stay in touch with their sphere of influence. You see a lot of coaching around this from ninja selling and flow and keeping up with your sphere in that matter. And then the marketer they need content marketing. They need to build an identity and a brand that is kind of their own, and they want to message and deliver campaigns and really rich content and advice to their target audience, whatever that target, their niche audience may be. On the left-hand side, you've got the prospectors really doing prospecting. They need phone skills, they need dialers, and they need text messaging, and really an organizational system for follow-up is what they need. So oftentimes you'll see the prospector use CRMs like a follow-up boss. You'll see the converter use CRMs like a Boomtown or something like that. And then on the right-hand side, the marketer and the networker, you're going to see them use like an IXACT Contact, for example, as a popular choice. And there's a reason why they have very high satisfaction from their clients. In the bottom left-hand corner, these guys really need some way to measure the data. Numbers in, numbers out is their kind of key mantra, but they need some SMS responding and texting and stuff like that. And the reason why I'm showing you this too is I want you to understand that if you put myself, who I've been a networker and a marketer all of my life, building relationships in residential real estate, you try to put me on the left-hand quadrant, I'm probably not going to succeed. It's just against my DNA to want to smile and dial and do all of that cold lead conversion. I think I would be very dissatisfied with my life, but that's just because it's my DNA. Now, someone else could be completely different. And one of my teammates is like that. He's on the left-hand side. He's more than happy to do that. So we make a very good kind of team there. So what are the systems that these guys need? The networker needs a basic CRM, basic email marketing touch system. They don't even need that sophisticated of a website, and they really want social media presence. And they really need time and the ability to give them time back so they're successful. In ninja selling, it's called pie time, where you focus on the productivity side of your time, and that's what the P stands for. And you really want to be out there rubbing shoulders, having coffee meetings, and doing real estate reviews and stuff like that. The marketer, they really need content. They need a powerful email marketing system. They need special offers, landing pages, lead capture tools, social media, and stuff like that. Really content marketing centric is what they're going to need. And so that's a great fit, where IXACT Contact is a really good fit for the networker. And then the marketer is really good fit for IXACT Contact because of the email marketing, but also the social stream product that they have to help you generate leads and capture opportunities from your mutual interests or niche areas based on social content too. So very good fit over there. On the left-hand side, you can see that the prospector needs a follow-up system, not necessarily a CRM, but a follow-up system. They need lead gen, lead texting, lead converting, lead routing, and stuff like that. They likely want a dialer as well. And then the bottom left-hand corner, it's all about the numbers. They need a budget, advertising. They're probably doing multiple types of advertising to generate a wider net, and then a religious commitment to follow up. Trying to accomplish that 3 to 4% conversion rate is their kind of holy grail. So 97 times out of 100, they're not converting the leads that are coming in. And so they need to find ways, very short memory, to move on from those and continue to work the leads that are going to take more time and stuff like that. Tiny bit on what are some of their challenges and requirements. You can see here, I won't read all these to you, but the networker, for example, they are restricted by their circle of influence. That's part of what we're going to talk about today is how do you generate more repeat and referral business? Because this is your challenge to growing your business. You have a difficulty in scaling your audience because you've got a finite audience, and you sometimes get into a comfort zone trap where it's like, this is my business, I'm comfortable. And when business is hot, you think about, oh man, it could slow down. And there's always this kind of ebb and flow with your business. And so we want to help you burst through that ceiling. And that's what Shannon and us will talk about now. So little fun, inspirational quote for you guys. And I mentioned this because, the minute we choose to measure something, we're essentially choosing to aspire it. And you hear about the lead gen guys and numbers, but by all means, I do believe that networkers and marketers should be measuring and growing their business as well. How big is my sphere? What do I need to do to grow my sphere? 20% of agents' sphere degrades year over year. And that's a big number. If you think about it, that's looking at all the data points from phone numbers to emails to snail mail addresses and stuff like that. It's a challenge for an agent to stay on top of their sphere and continue to grow it when 20% of it's changing. We recently did a study down in Florida with a top agent, and we ran predictive analytics on top of his database. And he was humbled when he realized that 10 deals were done in his sphere in the last week or two. I can't remember the time frame off the top of my head, but 10 deals were done in his sphere, and he only did 3 of them. And he was like, how in the world did these other 7 slip through my cracks? And so he was a believer in using the analytics and stuff like that. So I'll pass it back to you, Shannon. And yeah, this is a great segue into IXACT and what you guys are doing. I will say this, IXACT Contact literally wrote the book on repeat and referral business. They were one of the first to write a book in real estate. I think it's, what is it now, 7, 8 years old, maybe 9. Mm-hmm. And it's a great book, talks about generating repeat and referral business. So they were well ahead of their time.
Yeah, thank you so much for that awesome info, Travis. I'm just going to pop back to my slides here. Thought I had them in presentation mode. There we go. And what Travis is talking about with those networkers and marketers versus the prospector and converter, and when we lead into CRM and what the secret is to figuring out how to be more successful in your business, part of that is around like figuring out, are you a prospector or a converter? Are you a networker or marketer, right? And that split, like you said, Travis, what was it, 86 to 14%? So, the majority of you as real estate salespeople are going to be on that networker marketer side. You may have sort of inclinations to think like, I'm going to make 100 cold calls this week and try to be a prospector or converter, but like Travis suggested, it's sort of, it becomes a bit soul sucking if it's really not in your DNA to do those things. And that goes for any sales people.
I left a brokerage yesterday, a different brokerage in Michigan, and they were all kind of bent on launching lead generation, and they were a very traditional firm. And I said, you're going to actually burn out a bunch of your agents because you're going to give them 100 leads and they're going to call them and they're going to get very low results. And, and so I tried to advise them that if you want to have traditional agents try lead generation, that there's nothing wrong with that. You can diversify, your portfolio of where your business comes from. Nothing wrong with that at all. But don't have them calling and doing this scrubbing. Have somebody else do that. Allow them to put a budget towards it, and then get the 3% when it's already called after that. So sift through it, find that gold, in there, and then let the agent do what they're really good at.
Yeah, I had a similar conversation. It's funny that you mentioned that with a brokerage within the last couple of weeks, and it was the same thing. It's well, we've been providing them with this, and we think that that's the way we want to go. It's got a whole bunch of lead gen. And I just asked the question, like, how many of your agents are using it? Mm-hmm. How many of your agents are doing a good job with those leads that were coming in? And of the 150 agents in their brokerage, the answer was like a half dozen.
it's so ironic to see adoption rates of a lot of
Yeah.
these lead gen platforms in a traditional brokerage, and they're complaining and hitting their head against the wall, and the adoption rate's somewhere between 10 and 20%. Well, if you look at the personas, that makes sense, right?
Yeah. And there's
So,
so many brokers that think, well, my agents they're just not very good agents. They're not good at converting these leads. Well, no, they're not, because they're not wired that way.
mhm.
So what we're trying to do with IXACT Contact is help brokerages, help agents get back to the basics, back to their database in a format they can use. And when we say database, we mean like your sphere of influence, and keeping in touch with that sphere of influence so that you're building stronger relationships and building a more profitable referral and repeat based business. And here we're obviously talking to the networkers and the marketers primarily. And using a core technology, your CRM, that's the right CRM for how you're wired, or if you're a brokerage, how your agents are wired, or the majority of them, right? In any brokerage scenario, you're always going to have a few agents that are a little bit different. You might have, that handful of prospectors and converters, like the brokerage that I talked to a couple of weeks ago, and they need that lead gen tool, and that's what drives their business. But there has to be that differentiation between what type of agents are we working with, and what do they actually need from their business. And then our suggestion is when you get sort of down into the nitty gritty of it, okay, I'm a networker or I'm a marketer, categorize your list. Don't just have one big giant sphere and try to do the same thing for everybody. It's overwhelming, right? And then you feel like you're being a prospector, even though you're calling your own sphere of influence. Chunk it down into your A list and your B list. And that way you can focus on those specific lists. If you're struggling to figure out who's in your A list, it's the 20% of your contacts that will likely drive 80% of your business over your career. And common A list contacts are things like your past clients, important referral sources. So the people that already know, like, and trust you, have done business with you. And they're the people in your list that are going to help you grow your sphere of influence, right? Like you said, Travis, it can be sort of that you feel like you've got sort of this finite number of people that you're talking to, but if you start expanding into their referrals, then your sphere just becomes that much bigger.
Another way to look at that, which is kind of unique, is if you were to look at a quadrant, and in the upper right hand corner is what we call champions. These are guys that are going to, they're not only going to, refer you and recommend you, but they'll stand by you, and they might even have a drink with you, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can break down relationships into personal and professional equity. And so what's happening is you want to get all your personal folks to understand who you are from a professional standpoint.
Yeah.
You want to get all your professional folks to connect with you on the personal or social level. And then once you do that, you drive everybody into that upper right-hand quadrant where you've got a high, likelihood of them becoming a champion. So that's another way to look at it too. You got A and B lists, but you could also put personal and professional. And what can I do that's not overly salesy to get my professional people socially engaged? And what can I do that's not overly social to get my social people? Or I think I might have said that backwards, but I think you understand where I'm going.
I get where you're going. Yeah. And I had a similar conversation with a rookie agent at the Colorado Association of Realtors event this week, because they were saying, well, I don't know if I need a CRM. I don't have that many contacts. I just started in this business. And that's a common misconception that new agents have, I think, is that they don't have a huge sphere. They don't have business contacts, but it's about finding that way to make your personal contacts recognize that professional relationship they can also have with you. Mm-hmm. Being a bit creative about it, like you said, without being salesy and like, you don't want to close off the friend circle, but at the same time, you need to connect with people. You need to tell the people in your network and continually remind them that, you're their buddy and you can go golfing, but you also have an expertise in real estate, so that they don't just think of you when they want to buy or sell a home. They talk about you when they hear anybody else talking about buying or selling a home. So just making those connections and building out that list. And the CRM helps in that. And T360's done awesome studies, like the one that Travis is highlighting today. We've also there's tons of research, right? And this was the rich agent, poor agent study that Active Rain has done. And what Active Rain looked at was a whole bunch of different factors. They looked at what kind of car agents drive and what's their average commission, and what kind of marketing are they doing, and they asked all kinds of questions. One of those questions was what technology agents were using in their business, and one of the key things that was found to be key to the success of the higher performing agents was their CRM, and a CRM that had things like email marketing, systems that help put some of that automation in place, help keep the organization of your list going, just made it easier for those top performing agents to do even more business. They were communicating better. They had things like an email newsletter that was going out, and the agents that had a CRM were actually twice as likely to be a top performing agent. And I've got one more quick little study to highlight. NAR does a home seller profile study, some of you may be familiar with, and they found that, as I think you were saying or alluding to a little bit earlier, Travis, that most people find their agent through a referral or the agent they worked with previously, right? And that makes sense, right? 86% of you were networkers and marketers, so it makes sense that that most people are finding their agent through a referral, through the agent they've worked with previously. And the same study found that 85% of those homeowners said, yeah, I had a great experience with my agent, I would use them again. And then less than 25% actually did. Anybody want to raise their hand and tell me why? Because you all know the answer. They forgot your name. And it's not their fault, right? As salespeople, as real estate professionals, you have to stay in touch, regardless of whether the person is a professional contact, a personal contact, a past client. And your CRM ultimately, especially for those of you that are networkers and marketers, the IXACT Contact CRM is going to help you stay top of mind with those important referral sources so that you're making that impact. And by talking to people and keeping track of little tidbits of information, I was talking to an agent a couple of weeks ago, and he said that he makes it his mission on every phone call to learn one new thing about every person in his network. And it's not just your prospects. It could be someone you've known for years. Find out one little thing about them and then make a note of it. Put it in your CRM so that then when you're having conversations, you've got those little tidbits of information. As you know, as you sort of don't want to feel like you're making cold calls, but it can be hard, right? You haven't talked to somebody in 6 months, they're a past client. What do you reach out and talk to them about? And those little tidbits of information can help with that. Other benefits of having a CRM are just keeping yourself organized. I was talking to it was a HomeSmart agent on a previous webinar. She joined us as one of the speakers. She is semi-retired, still making 6 figures, works like 23 hours a week because she set up systems, including CRM, that help keep her business running in the background. So the business is coming back to her. She doesn't have to prospect or even do a lot of follow-up. Her systems that she's put in place over the course of her career have built this really strong network, and the business just keeps coming back to her. And of course, you'll be more organized and you'll build a business that you can actually potentially sell on or pass on to another agent in the business. There's so many other industries that do this. It's coming a little bit more to the forefront in real estate. But if your business is organized, then you can put a tangible value on it. And that makes a huge difference as well. So I want to talk to you more about IXACT Contact. Like I said, it's not going to be a full system demo today, but do want to get into some of the details of how a system like IXACT can work for your business, how easy it is to set up, and that it's all in one place. So things like, Travis, you mentioned our social stream solution, and I'll talk to that when I get into the system as well. So let me just pop over there.
While you're pulling that up, I'll say
yeah.
my 3 favorite features, maybe 4, are coaching, goal setting, accountability. That's huge. Social stream is one of my favorites, and it's actually, it could be a standalone product too, which is nice. Mm-hmm. And then I like the keep in touch coach as well. So those are things that agents need.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, keep in touch coach right at the top of the dashboard here, as Travis just mentioned, also one of my favorite features. I can think of times in my career in sales that I would have loved to have something more intelligent than just pulling up a list of contacts and going, okay, which ones have I not called in the last 6 weeks? And trying to remember or look back at the notes. And it was just tedious. And things like the keep in touch coach help you organize your contacts. So we were talking about just getting people organized. A list and B list would be things like your contact groups, and you can have as many contact groups as you want, but it allows you to then filter those contacts. Maybe you've got, a list of people that you golf with. Maybe you've got your kids' baseball team parents, right? So you can categorize and classify those and then include or exclude if you're making a call list or if you are sending emails. And then at the very top, you've got to have your funnel. And we call it the business pipeline. There's different parts to that business pipeline, of course, your new leads, your hot prospects, current clients, past clients, and so on. And this business pipeline helps then drive the keep in touch coach. So you'll get reminded more frequently for new leads and hot prospects. And maybe your reminders are 90 days for longer term leads, or maybe at 60 days, you can adjust. So what the keep in touch coach does is every time you log a prospecting update, some sort of activity with this particular prospect, if you made a phone call, make a note, and you save it, that person disappears, but they're going to pop back up again on the next scheduled reminder. So say it's every 7 days, right? It's going to pop up 7 days from your logged activity. So just intelligent reminders that save you the work of diving into the list, trying to find the people that you need to follow up with today. A system can actually pull them right to the top of your dashboard and say, hey, here's the 12 people that you need to follow up with today. And then tomorrow it's going to be a new 12 people, right? They just come onto this cycle of being reminded of touching base with them. As I mentioned with the contact records, being able to keep track of all of your information in one place. And that starts from just a really robust contact profile. And these are like flagship contacts. Don't feel like you'd have to know everything about everybody. You can start with as little as their name and a piece of contact information, a phone number, an email address, and then build from there. But when you learn their spouse or partner's name, if that person has their own phone number and email, start tracking that information, and it's all held in one contact record. It's different than putting it like in your phone contacts, and you've got to have separate contacts for each person. In a good real estate CRM, we treat those people as a household. So you still have their separate contact information, but you're able to keep them under their same home address with their move-in date. And something that a lot of agents should be doing but aren't is following up on these move-in dates with your past clients, right? It's a really good excuse to reach out, follow up on a date that's personal to them, but that also ties them back to your role in them owning that home, right? It's just that quick little reminder. And the IXACT contact system actually has automatic reminders for those move-in dates. The system will automatically remind you every year. It can even send them an email greeting card. So if you want to sort of be hands off with it, or you can be much more engaged with it with a reminder and make your own phone calls. Same thing applies to birthdays. So again, just being able to keep track of all of those personal details, additional household members, maybe their kids or their Aunt Susan who lives in the ensuite apartment. Keep track of everybody so that and their birth dates and things, so that you have those little tidbits of information. Even maybe their special interests, right? Are they a particular sports team fan, right? Or even just a type of sport, or where do they vacation? And those little tidbits of information can all be held in one place. And that way, when you go to make a phone call, you can look back at your previous notes. And if you quickly see here that, I don't know what I should talk to them about, you can go back to the contact profile, pull up that little tidbit of information, and you've got yourself a conversation starter. So keeping those robust profiles all in one place. We also mentioned just that continual keeping in touch, and the keep in touch coach helps with that. But it is something where you do have to be in front of your system or in front of the mobile app so that you can make phone calls or send text messages or personal emails. In the background with IXACT, you also can have things like a monthly email newsletter set up and running for you. So we write this for you. It's got your personal branding at the top. It personalizes it to the person or couple you're sending to. And then there's a personal message. Again, your signature, you can put as much branding into the signature as you want. This example is pretty simple. And then 3 articles. And the articles are articles of interest for anyone who is a homeowner or would like to be a homeowner. Doesn't matter if they're buyer, seller. It's information that's relevant, that's positioning you as an expert in all things home ownership. So it's not just sending them listings. It's not just sending them things that are selling yourself. It's providing those items of value, that valuable information that are tying back to you and your expertise in owning homes. And the way Exact Contact does this is we've got marketing professionals creating this content for us every month, and we build it into this email newsletter. And then once the e-newsletter is set up, it will run and send out for you automatically every month. You can preview it, customize it, make it your own within the mass emailing system. And then, of course, you can view the campaign reporting to see who's opening your email. And the value in that is that you're seeing not just an overall open rate, that's cool, right? And most systems can do that. But you should also take a quick look at exactly who, the unique open details, exactly who's opening your emails, exactly who's clicking through on a call to action if you've included something in an email. So, for example, if you sent maybe not a newsletter, but maybe you sent a listing, right? You should still be sending those things. Send a listing to your hot 50 buyer prospects to let them know that you've got this new listing or something that's coming to the market soon. Wouldn't it be great to know of those 50 buyer prospects exactly how many and who opened the email, who opened it multiple times? That's what hit number means, and who clicked on the link within the email. So it's just some of those little secrets that if you've got a good database and you're emailing them regularly with good information, whether it's listings or more general information with a newsletter, knowing who you could be following up with more actively. Maybe it's someone that you haven't talked to. Maybe you haven't talked to Rich in 6 months, but he opens every newsletter 5 times, which probably means he's forwarding it to 3 other people. And you haven't talked to him in 6 months. It might be worth a phone call. So you can actually use the campaign reporting piece of the system to help float some of those leads to, a little bit higher up on your follow-up list. Maybe they're a hotter prospect than you thought. Maybe they have a referral for you. But if they're really engaging with your marketing, it's worth taking a look at it and worth that additional follow-up. I'm just going to pop back to my dashboard here for a second because Travis, I love that you highlighted the goal setting, being able to track those tangible goals. And it doesn't matter whether you're a networker, a prospector, a converter, marketer, we need to set goals. And the goal setting modules in Exact Contact allow you to do just that. And of course, it's going to start with asking you a series of questions. And the first question is, what do you want to make this year? And then it helps you break it down by asking things like, what's your average commission per transaction? What percentage of your business is listings versus buyers? And how many listing presentations do you do in order to get the listing? And then it helps you break that out into how many listing presentations you'll need to get 13 listings. You need to do 44. You're going to close 100% of those listings, so that's awesome. And then, of course, how many buyer presentations to get the number of closed buyer sales that's actually going to get you to this commission income. And of course, you've got to do the prospecting activity to get there. So how many new contacts are you adding? How many of those are referrals? How many phone calls are you making? And so on. And you can add additional activities that you want to track goals for. And then again, as you log that prospecting activity, right? I log a prospecting update, or as I enter active business, and in the CRM, you can actually enter your listings, move those brand new listings all the way through the transaction process until they close. Same thing with buyers as they go through that buyer transaction. As you close those things out, or as you log your prospecting activities, the dashboard widgets show you exactly where you're tracking towards your goals. This is a demo database. You're just going to be all in the green, or at least in the black. Ours is, of course, in the red because we're not logging things regularly. But you can see that phone call that we made that we logged just a moment ago has showed up in our current week tracking. So just keeping you on track with those goals. And when you set those tangible goals and work towards them, whether you're doing your business through referrals or more through marketing, you're going to be able to track your progress, and you'll be able to very, very quickly see, where your new contacts are coming from and where your business is taking you, right? Where are you tracking towards that commission goal? What percentage is buyer versus seller? And maybe it needs to adjust, right? Maybe this year it ends up being more buyer and less seller, but you always have the ability to track it and view it and see exactly where you're tracking in a good CRM system. And I'll just mention, in addition to things like the e-newsletter, I mentioned sending with something like a just listed flyer. Exact includes templates for just listed e-flyers, just solds. There's even a full set of activity plan emails with 9 different campaigns already scheduled out for you. So it allows you to, again, just have that background communication always positions you as an expert and just trickles that information out into your sphere, into new contacts that you're adding, so that they know that you're the expert, not just in home ownership or in real estate, but for instance, if you're sending this campaign that's for a first-time buyer, now you're the expert on first-time buyers, right? So it's helping you with that niche and feeding those first-time buyers really key information that's relevant to them. Travis, you mentioned social streams. So I'm going to shift gears from CRM just a little bit into the online presence side of things, because the people that are following you, whether they're past clients, they're referrals, they should be in your database, but you're also, might be doing a little bit of marketing. You want to have that really good presence on your social media. And what the social stream platform does is provides that content, that content of interest that help engage people with your social media, and then it posts it automatically for you. One of the biggest challenges with posting to social media is content, right? As salespeople, we're not necessarily writers. It's easy to see an article and think, oh, I should post that to my social media. I'll save it for later. And then 6 weeks later, you see the bookmark and you're like, oh, a little out of date now. So what Social Stream does is it pulls in new, fresh content on a regular basis from a huge list of publications. You've got, see all the publications down the left-hand side here. And what it does is, based on the settings you choose, you can post up to 3 times a day completely automatically. You choose which topics and which publications to pull content in from. And when it posts to your social media, it helps fill in those gaps between when you might not have your own content, right? And we can't just post listings. That's sort of one leg of the 3-legged social media posting stool. We don't want to just post listings and things that are real estate and home ownership related. We should also post things that are more personalized, right? Maybe you go to the local farmer's market and you take a little video of what's going on there. Come on down and meet me for a coffee. But you also need that content that's in between your listings, in between the personal stuff. And that's where the social stream postings fit. Looks something like this when it goes out on your social media. And one of the benefits is that it's not taking the person away directly to the publication website. It actually lands them on a landing page with the article next to your branding, and a pop-up form asks for their contact information. So even if the person is following you on social media, or their friend sees it and likes it, so they look at it, you want to be able to ask for their contact information. There's sort of that being anonymous feeling on social media, and this will help you start to pull those people into your database. This is going to feed that contact directly back to the CRM. You can have things like an autoresponder going out. You could have one of those activity plans automatically assigned. They can receive your next monthly e-newsletter. Effectively, this is them subscribing to receive additional content along these lines from you. So really cool, easy way to have content going out onto your social media. It again helps build your presence as an expert in home ownership. You can really narrow the topics too. If you want to be an expert on really specific types of topics, then you can choose just those topics. Our friend Jay here tends to post things a little more broadly, right? Things that are more home, things like this, like sort of work from home space. You also post things like food related. So just anything that you think you're going to have a voice in will help generate that interest in your social media. So really, really cool feature. Social Stream is an add-on to the core system, and I'll talk about pricing in just a moment. And just while we're on the subject of online presence, Travis, what did you called it, a business card website, or like a sort of more standardized website for the networkers?
That was what the networker needs.
Yeah.
But a marketer needs a little bit more, which you're looking at here too.
Yeah. And so what IXACT Contact provides is a website that has sort of that business card property to it. The homepage has your information, a little introduction to you. And of course, you should always customize the about page to be about you or your local area and your expertise. But there's also 16 pages on your expertise for buyers, your expertise for sellers, contact forms built into all of those pages. And you can go that step further for more the marketer and have things like pages for specific communities. And our friend here, Sabine, has pages for specific communities with information about, what I like about Ali's Beach. And here's all the cool things in Ali's Beach, and then here's the listings. So it's not just about selling real estate in Ali's Beach, it's about what's really great about that neighborhood. So she's definitely on the marketer side of things, and pushing out content about her expertise in all of these specific communities or specific types of home, so that, again, you're so all out there within your web presence. So it can be that sort of business card type website with information about you. You can add the IDX for listings, and then you can also build it out so that you've got more of that marketer expertise in specific areas, specific types of transaction. So all in all, CRM, email marketing, automated reminders for things like birthdays and move-in anniversaries and those key dates are really crucial to systematizing some of that follow-up, keeping everything in one place, so you're not having to jump from system to system to get those same things accomplished. So let me just jump back to my slides here, and I'm actually going to jump slides a little bit because we've talked about all of these awesome things that Exact Contact includes, and I think we're grasping the idea of how it's going to help your business by keeping you organized and keeping you top of mind and setting up your online presence. So ultimately, you're expanding your business, you're capturing leads potentially, but you're also expanding your existing sphere by building out that level of expertise. When we do talk about pricing, the core system, as I say, is the CRM itself with all of the email marketing, the content, and the agent website. So if you're adding social stream, it's an optional add-on. If you're adding IDX to the website, it's an option. But the core system itself, if you went to all of these different companies to find individual resources and bundle them together, the total value, I actually think $230, including the websites, fairly conservative. And Exact Contact does it for just $33 a month. That's based on our annual billing. You can also do month to month, which is based on the on monthly billing. Social Stream is an additional 20, and you have your first 30 days of Social Stream free. So actually, like, post 3 times a day for a full 30 days. Make sure that it's working for you, that you like the content, that the system's working for you before you're paying for any of it. Also included is our concierge setup service, and we really believe in helping you get the system set up and working for you. We don't just throw it at you and say, okay, go. Our support team actually works with you one-on-one to upload your data and get your e-newsletter sending out and all of your branding, your social stream, whatever you want set up and working for you from the get-go. You have our assistants to do that. And then you've got unlimited ongoing support. And there's never any charge for support. It's just part of the service. We believe we should be here to help you and make sure that it's working for you. And there's a ton of different learning resources, things like our setup wizard that walk you through step-by-step setting up, tutorial videos that you can review at any point. I've actually had a customer earlier this week who, because I was at a conference on Monday, didn't get me right away. And by the time I got back to the email in the evening, I had another email from that same customer that said, never mind, I found the tutorial, I'm good. So they didn't even need our help, just were able to watch that little video. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we want to make it easy for you to get started. We do have a special offer for all of our webinar attendees today. Your first 60 days are free. Normally it's 5 weeks. So you're getting a little bit over double our usual free trial. And if you're a new agent, as I mentioned, when Travis and I were chatting there, I said, I talked to an agent this week at the conference who said, I don't think I have enough contacts for a CRM. And really, out of the gate, you may not feel like you have a lot of contacts, but it's the right time to get started with systems in place so that you have that direction, you have that organization, you have those automations helping you with your business. But we're not going to charge you for 6 months. We want you to have the opportunity to get those things set up and really working for your business. So if you're a brand new agent, you get your first 6 months free. And then after that, it's just the $39 a month if you're doing the month to month. So I'm going to jump over to our chat. I think there's a few questions in there.
It's a good one about, does Exact pull your contact list from, maybe talk about the integrations and where you can pull contacts.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Array says, does IXACT pull your contact list, or do you have to input the contacts one by one? So we've got a couple of options. If you have your contacts in virtually any online system, any kind of digital format, in your phone, in your email contacts, back end of a website, maybe another CRM, we will help you export it into an Excel spreadsheet, and then our support team imports that for you. So you don't have to input one by one. If you have your contacts in Google or your iPhone, we can sync with those and pull your contacts over. So again, our support team will help with all of that setup. The only time you'd have to enter one by one is if, like an agent that I talked to about a month ago had a whole bunch of sticky notes, because she was just in the habit of, like, she'd meet somebody and she'd grab her sticky notepad or a little notepad in her purse and write them down. So you know, find a neighbor, nephew, niece, grandchild that needs a little bit of time at the computer on the weekends, and get some data entry done. But that, otherwise, as long as they're in some sort of digital format, we can either export into an Excel spreadsheet or do a sync for you. Let me just see here. Oh, and Diana, I hope that I showed enough of the system. As I said at the beginning, we were not doing a full system overview today. It was more educational, especially with Travis's information around the agent personas and what systems and things are going to work best for your type of business. If anyone does want a more in detail, personalized demo walkthrough, give us a shout. Give us the same number that rookies can call to once they sign up there, that 866-665-0018. Give us a shout, and a member of the sales team would be happy to provide you with your own personal walkthrough if you'd like to see more of the system.
And you can do monthly or annual. That was a question.
Yeah, you can do monthly or annual. There is no contract ever. So even if you sign up for the annual billing, if you decide a few months in that, you know what, I'm just not using it, or it's not the right thing for me, first we're going to try to help you make it work for you. But if it's really not the right system for you, we will cancel and refund your balance. We're pretty flexible. We want to make sure it's really working for you. We really believe that once agents have the right systems in place, they should be helping their business. And if they're not, right, if we're not the right system for you, and we're not, no CRM is the right system for everybody. So we want to make sure that it's the right thing that's working for you. Yeah. So that's it for me. Travis, did you have anything else to add?
No, thank you. I'm a big fan of IXACT Contact and the new features. That's important because they are developing, innovating, and Social Stream is a huge value add to a CRM. And so yeah, keep up the good work. And thanks everybody for attending.
Yeah, thanks everybody. And there is a little survey at the end if anybody would mind taking the time to just answer a couple little quick questions. Helps us make our next webinar series just that much better and in tune with what you guys are looking for.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks. Have a great day, guys. Bye.